easily heard from our vantage point, and we see the face-off men here. For Randallstown, it's number 23, Sean Bennett, and for Catonsville, it's number 23, Mike Altschuler, and both of those players are high scorers for their teams. Picked up by Catonsville, this is Greg Miller.
Wilson, it shouldn't be surprising that Catonsville got the face-off. Altschuler is winning 79% of the face-offs.
Well, he gets the ball over to number 10, Jeff Lanou. Jeff Lanou. And this is 22, Greg Miller, a senior midfielder at Catonsville High School.
Catonsville very much a controlled offense. And Wilson, what you're going to see is a pattern here that Catonsville has used all year. They will move the ball around a little bit, and then you're going to see them call timeout. So we'll just see if that pattern continues as it has throughout this season.
Jeff Lanou gets it behind a Dan Clark. Or check it, that's, well, those gold numbers, it's hard to see the ones on the fronts of the jerseys, easier to see the ones on the backs. But Catonsville's going to lose the ball on a turnover. Again, the officials are Bob Gukwa and Bill Jenkins, and that's a number 3, Mike Miller, for Catonsville. Dan Clark is in there on offense, number 9. So Randallstown will have a clear here. Number 70 on the field, Ken Connolly. The goalie is number 99, Brad Topchick. And this is Connolly. Number 50 also on there, Justin Dolan. Number 41 on for Randallstown, Andy Ward. And now the ball gets over to the attack in the midfield. This is Sean Bennett, who is a junior at Randallstown High School. Number 12 also on there, Mike Fuller. And on the far side, it's Jared Luria. Number 55. Both teams very deliberate so far. Again, Randallstown coached by Link Bogart, many years at Randallstown. Also Charles Reisenweber. Catonsville's coaches are Terry Lathram and Eric Weber. And this is, I'm sure Terry would say, the best team he's ever had at Catonsville. This is 66, Ryan Phelps.
This is reminiscent, Wilson, of the old basketball games before the shot clock came into the college and the pro games. But of course, the shot clock's still not into the high school basketball games, and of course, no such thing exists in lacrosse. And, looks like Randallstown almost lost the ball and may lose it here, just as Catonsville did earlier. Both teams attempting to be very deliberate, getting an idea of what they're going to have to go up against defensively, but unfortunately for their offenses, neither team able to get a shot off. Actually, neither team even attempting to get a shot off in their deliberateness, ending up losing the ball.
So now Catonsville will attempt to clear. Number 20 on there, Ian Remmert on defense. Catonsville has only lost once, and that loss was to the powerful, undefeated Delaney Lions.
Well, Coach Latham told me that in that first quarter, Delaney just put his kids in awe of.
And they can do that.
They certainly showed us last week when we were doing their game with Parkville. A very physical, speedy, talented team.
42 there for Randallstown was Brian Kornblatt. And the Rams will now get to set it up on offense. That's number 33, Brandon Grodnitsky. Brandon Grodnitsky takes a shot at Bill Griffin, and Griffin stops the shot. The Catonsville goalie. Well, the ball intercepted by Brian Kornblatt, and intercepted again by Catonsville, but it's a moving pick called on number 20, Ian Remmert of Catonsville. So the ball will be turned over to Randallstown.
Well, in spite of the nice interception, that moving pick called almost immediately. So consequently, Randallstown will have the ball back. And at this point, we've only seen one shot, and that was really a point-blank shot, Wilson.
Yes, and Griffin made a fine stop, the Catonsville goalie. Catonsville looking toward those state playoffs, and we'll have some state playoff finals for you on CTV 20. Certainly at this time don't know who it will be. Number 23 there is Sean Bennett. It all depends on who survives and gets to UMBC on May 18th.
Very interesting defense that Catonsville is playing. A very aggressive, what appears to be man-to-man with the person with the ball. But if you watch off the ball, they're into a zone defense. And it's essentially an aggressive matchup zone.
And 55, Jared Luria, slipped and fell. This is Griffin out of the goal.
And he slipped too there, Wilson. So perhaps the little bit of rain we had last night making the field a little slipperier than what one would expect.
Another interception by Mike Fuller this time. There is a shot and a score by number 33, Brandon Grodnitsky, a junior, and Randallstown jumps out to an early 1-0 lead.
Well, Randallstown coming into the game an underdog, and quite naturally, many coaches, when they're underdogs, feel that their best chance is to try to play a controlled game, keep the score down. Interestingly enough, that is the Catonsville game, a controlled game. Even though they're 7-1, they're not a team that just goes right at the goal. They're a very deliberate team. So this could end up being not a slow game, but a deliberate game.
Topchick gets the ball, and it's almost intercepted by Miller. Or check it, number 23 for Catonsville, Mike Altschuler, and a timeout called by Terry Lathram because his team, I don't believe it's gotten a shot off yet, but stay with TV 20. We'll be right back. There are the Randallstown Ram cheerleaders. Their sponsor and coach is Deborah Howe. The captain is Stacy O'Neill, co-captain Dion Hall. Also Kim Russell, Brandy Denmark, Doreen Pettigrew, Mary Kate Rorty, Seda Ashkenas, Misty Flanagan, and Dana Bloom, the Randallstown cheerleaders. So Catonsville will have the ball here as they trail 1-0. We are in the first quarter. 4 10-minute quarters in high school lacrosse, and this is 22. Greg Miller, senior midfielder. Greg shoots and scores. Well, I wonder if that's what Coach Lathram called for in that timeout.
Well, Wilson, probably so. As we had pointed out earlier, it's been the pattern for Catonsville to control the ball early, not even take a shot, just feel out the other team, their opponents, and then call a timeout and decide where they're going to go from there. Well, as it turned out, they lost the ball before they were able to call the timeout, and the first time they got it across midfield after they lost the ball, they called a timeout and then come right back with the score. Well, this 79%, it looks like it's going to stay intact here, but not without a lot of trouble that time, Wilson, on the faceoff.
Well, though one shot and one goal, that's the kind of percentage coaches like. And this is Jeff Lanou for Catonsville.
Well, you might help me out. I think Randallstown's 1 for 2, so the percentage is very high early in the first quarter.
Lanou here guarded very closely by Ken Connolly. And he gets it behind to Tom Hebler. Hebler being guarded there by Andy Ward.
Well, another slip down. So this field is slippery. No question about it. Both teams having trouble.
Bill Jenkins going to make a call here. Call a pushing call, so it'll be a possession to Randallstown. So the Rams will get to try to clear, and we're tied at 1 in the first quarter. And we got a new newspaper people here today, Gary. We've got the people from the Scoreboard newspaper, a new weekly publication dealing with sports in the area. Always glad to see that kind of activity.
Well, sports certainly big in our culture. And just the other day, I saw it come to Catonsville Community College for distribution there. It's the first time I had seen it. Now I know a little bit more about it.
Catonsville with the ball now. This is 21, Scott Dusterhoff. He gets it over to Hebler.
Nice save.
Yeah, Topchick had a couple there to one sort of a scooping attempt there after the initial shot. It's Brad Topchick, senior, number 99 in the goal for Randallstown. So tied at 1. The Rams will come back now on offense. And this is number 23, Sean Bennett.
Well, there's a good look at that matchup zone. You can see how tight the ball is being played, but then if you look back near the goal, you can see Catonsville very much in a zone.
Ryan Phelps back there for Randallstown. Gets it over to Todd Laberwit, one of their leading scorers. And he gets it to Brandon Grodnitsky, who has the only Randallstown goal.
Well, the cheerleaders
Well,
getting a little action there.
Andy Lample went out of bounds there with the ball, so Randallstown will get it back. And another pass out of bounds, and that's just like basketball. That cost you because it's a turnover to the other team. Really an unforced error, I believe, is the most recent terminology.
Well, and both teams with their controlled offense have had a little bit of trouble with that.
You know, those state playoffs ought to be great this year. Catonsville with a great shot. Towson and Delaney, Lock Raven, all in the hunt. Delaney, of course, a defending state champion. Towson would like to avenge that first round loss, 1-goal loss last year to Edgewood. And they'll be coming up later in May. We'll have some of that championship for you as Catonsville picks up the loose ball.
Well, a lot of hustle there that time for the Comets number 21, Scott Dusterhoff. He was doing a nice job going after that ground ball.
Dan
off the pipe.
Dan Dixon's shot hits the pipe. And if we've talked so many times, Gary, if you try to do that in practice, you can't do it.
Cannot hit the pipe.
You cannot hit the pipe no matter how hard you try, but it happens many times in games. So turnover to Randallstown. And the Rams will have the ball, number 42, Brian Kornblatt, as we're in a 1-1 tie in the first quarter. And this is Kornblatt. He's going to get it behind Phelps, 66. Phelps, the one hand on the stick. Nobody breaking open for Ryan to pass to, so he'll give it to Brandon Grodnitsky. There are 3 Grodnitskys on the team, so we have to specify which one.
Wilson, Catonsville is being very aggressive defensively, and that's one of the things that Coach Latham said to me before the game, how pleased and surprised he was with his defense. He lost some very fine defenders last year, thought it was perhaps going to be one of his weak areas, but it turned out to be quite strong. As a matter of fact, in spite of Delaney scoring 16 goals against Catonsville, the goal against average is only 4. So very fine defensive play on the part of Catonsville this year.
Good work there by Rob Rich on defense for Catonsville. Randallstown still with the ball, very deliberate. Again, we're tied at 1 in the first quarter. And the clock is on the field, so we're under a minute as one of the managers will walk behind referee Bob Gukwa this time and count off those final 15 seconds. And Randallstown may be content here.
That's the problem with being content with that last shot, Wilson. Oftentimes you don't get the last shot.
It's true, and this is number 3 for Catonsville. Mike Miller in the Comets hustling downfield. Oh, and a check.
Tremendous check right there.
Ken Connolly put a check on Tom Hebler, and that is the end of the quarter. We're tied at 1 at the end of 1. Yes, Mr. Hebler will probably remember that, probably a little more later this evening.
Wow, what a hit. That certainly reminiscent of any football hit we've ever seen, Wilson.
End of 1, tied at 1. Stay with TV 20. We'll be right back.
French in Action, the first complete television course in French language and culture, opens a new era in language learning.
Très poli.
Mademoiselle,
Il est très poli.
excusez-moi.
A television course in 52 lessons centers around a wonderful romantic comedy filmed entirely on location in France. The story of Muret, Robert, Marie-Laure, and the mysterious man in black will help you to learn, to understand, and to speak French.
Tenez, regardez cette dame là-bas. Elle va dire merci.
Pierre Capretz of Yale University, one of this country's most distinguished language teaching specialists, will be your companion and guide. Watch French in Action.
There are the cheerleaders from Randallstown High School. Happy so far with a 1-1 score. And Gary, May 10 and 11 at Catonsville Community College.
Well, I certainly hope lots of lacrosse fans will come out to see the National Junior College Lacrosse Championships at Catonsville Community College. The Final Four. The first game will be played on the 10th at 1 p.m., followed by a 3:30 game. And then on the 11th, 11 o'clock in the morning, the consolation game and the championship, the National Lacrosse Championship, 2 o'clock. And lots of local people expect Essex Community College to be in that championship game, the undefeated Knights.
Come out and see those games May 10 and 11 at Catonsville, and then watch all 4 games again on TV 20. We will be covering all 4 of those championship lacrosse games.
The price is right too, Wilson. Adults can see all 4 games in person before watching it on television for just $6, $4 per day, $6 for the tournament. Students, I want to see you describe
and there's
that
the score. Well, okay, the assist goes to the goalpost as number 12 for Catonsville, Tom Hebler, the man that got leveled there at the end of the quarter. It was a shot, took a bounce, hit the top of the post, the goal, came back out. Hebler grabbed it and scored.
Well, you know, in baseball, they say if the pitcher knocks you down as a hitter, the best way to end that is to get right off your feet and get a hit, or not get up on your feet
No, we
and
have
get a
to,
hit.
have to give an assist to the goal that time because it came just perfect feed into Hebler's stick, and he just put it in, and it's 2-1 Catonsville.
Altschuler again with that face-off.
Taken away by Bennett, and of course the goalie, Brad Topchick, down there just kind of, what? What happened?
Yeah, a sigh of relief that it hit the pipe, and then the next thing he knows, it's in the net.
Randallstown on offense. Randallstown, of course, this year with a great year in sports. Their football team, an undefeated state 4A champion.
Well, and our friend John Buckheister, who was the coach of Milford Mill, the very first game that we did on CTV 20, then Cable 4, and John has been very cooperative with us all these years, and we're always happy to see him have success.
Flag down. We're going to get a penalty here against Catonsville, and it is a 1-minute penalty for slashing. I believe it's called on number 1, Andrew Lample. If I heard Bob Gukwa from a long way away correctly. Yes, but it is Catonsville in the box for 1 minute. Randallstown trailing 2-1 will have the extra man. And this always in lacrosse, as in any sport that has this type of situation, very important. Teams must take advantage of extra man situations. This is Bennett on the near side. He'll get it over to 55, Jared Luria. Behind the goal, it's number 20, Todd Laberwitt. Luria, Bennett.
Well, just a few moments ago, Catonsville had come out and gone into a very aggressive man-to-man defense. Being down a man now, they have no choice but to be in the zone. And, oh, a strong shot there. Just missed.
Bennett's shot went right by the goal, but Randallstown backing up with Laberwitt, so they will retain possession. And they're on the crease, but a lot of pushing and shoving. Pushing called on Catonsville. The ball was loose, so Randallstown will retain possession. They're still extra, but they not really, well, they've gotten one shot off in this extra man situation. As the goalie for Catonsville is Bill Griffin.
And his coach is very high on him. He just thinks he's a superb goalie. Why not if you're only averaging 4 goals a game?
So Bennett out here on the outside to Luria, to Laberwitt.
Well, no longer the extra man advantage for the Rams, but they still have the ball.
Laberwitt really being hammered by Ian Remmert. Just doing a fine job on defense. Here's a shot by the goal by number 12, Mike Fuller. And I believe the extra man, yes, the extra man situation is over. We are all even. It is Catonsville leading Randallstown 2-1. Catonsville in white. And the ball went, there it is. Now it's finally picked up. Next week on TV20, we will have those NJCAA Final Four championships. We will be televising all 4 games, so you can come out and see them in person and then watch them again on CTV20, and particularly the national championship game to be played on May the 11th at 2 p.m.
Essex definitely in. It would appear as though Herkimer, Farmingdale, and Nassau have the best
Oh,
chance.
a great shot and a goal by number 20 for Randallstown,
Well, Wilson,
Todd Laberwitt.
We have some bad news, too, because the Catonsville goalie who came out to try to defend against that is holding his shoulder and down on the ground, and that is not good news for Bill Griffin and the Comets.
But what an effort by Laberwitt. He went by 2 people, dodged, maintained control, shot with his left hand, and scored the second goal to tie this game at 2. So Laberwitt did an outstanding job, and now Griffin is up being looked at by Terry Lathram, his coach.
I have to take that back, Wilson. I thought sure it was the goalie who came out
No,
there.
it's
That
number
was not the
22.
case at all.
Greg Miller. Number 22, Greg Miller. But Greg's tough. He'll be back.
I was indicating that if goalie Griffin were hurt, that would certainly give some anxious moments to the Comets. But Greg Miller, one of their top scorers, as a matter of fact, with 19 goals on the season, he is their top scorer. And
well, he'll come out for some period of time. Even if he wanted to continue, he'd have, since they stopped play, he'd have to come out for a minute or so. And of course, Coach Terry Lathram not wishing to take any chances. He's got state playoffs coming up, and we're going to have the face-off here after that last goal. But we are tied at 2 in the second quarter. Randallstown in black, Catonsville in white. And there's the face-off to Catonsville. This is Rob Rich. Remember seeing him on the Catonsville's outstanding basketball team. Picked up by number 5, Dan Clark. And we've got a man on the crease and a score. Number 23 for Catonsville, Mike Altschuler, gets the goal. And that was just a nice play, nice feeds there. I believe Hebler was involved in that goal on the feeding end. But just good work by everybody. Now, Rob Rich started it off, picking up the ball on the face-off, and it is now 3-2 in favor of Catonsville.
Well, Wilson, that's what the favorite team is supposed to do.
And Catonsville gets the face-off finally. And there's Mike Miller back in there again, Gary, so he didn't stay out very long.
And Randallstown did a nice job giving some help defensively, because Miller, showing his quickness there, was able to beat his man. Looked like he might have a good shot right in the center of the field, but very quickly the Randallstown defenders collapsed on him, and they made that a very difficult play offensively.
3-2 in favor of Catonsville. They have the ball. Shot, no good.
Well, here
by number 4, John Highland.
And that time Highland showed good speed and good quickness, as he just went right by his man.
Attempted feed on the crease there, and it's picked up by Catonsville. They just maintained pressure. Derek Blattenberg in there. Another shot. Catonsville just firing away here. They've had it all their way on offense for the last several minutes. And the Comets are leading 3-2. We're in the second quarter at Catonsville High School. Catonsville in white.
Well, good motion there on the part of the Comets. Not a lot of standing around at all.
That's Dusterhoff, and another good save in there by the goalie for Randallstown, Brad Popchick. But Catonsville maintains possession. Pass intended for Highland goes by. Picked up by Blattenberg. Back to Highland. Dodge. Oh, he got really checked very hard in there, and went down, tried to get the shot off, but Randallstown with the ball.
Oh, we're going to have a flag, or do have a flag on that. I was just going to say, I haven't seen such checking this year as we've seen in today's game, but the checking got a little bit out of hand that time. And certainly the official there, Bill Jenkins, right on the play.
So let's see who goes off on the sidelines. It'll be a Catonsville player, and Randallstown will have the extra man advantage. It's a 1-minute penalty, and it is a 3-2 Catonsville lead. So Randallstown with the extra man.
Catonsville really bunching around that goal. It's going to be tough to get a shot through there.
Phelps back there for Randallstown. Gets it over to Laborwit. He had the last, here he goes. Oh, good stop by Griffin, but another fine move by Laborwit. And a shot and a score by number 12, Mike Fuller, a junior from Randallstown, with that left-handed shot. Boom, and we are tied at 3. And Gary, this is what, as announcers, we pray for.
Oh, we relish
game.
this. That's right. And our record is not so great in terms of tight games.
That's true.
I was thinking, just reminiscing a little bit, Wilson, when we were talking about going way back to that first year, and Coach Buck Heister at Milford Mill, and that very same year, probably the most exciting game we did was a Randallstown Woodlawn football game. It was just a very, very fine football game.
Well, of course, there's so much more drama in a game that's competitive, and obviously every team would like to win 25-0, but It's the drama that makes sports exciting, and this is Bennett as Randallstown with some new life here. Tied now at 3. We're in the second quarter at Catonsville on just a perfect day. I mean, if you ordered a day for sporting events such as lacrosse, you couldn't order one better than this. Might be a little too windy for baseball.
Well, the tennis players behind us probably would disagree with that too,
Sure.
also just because of the wind.
But the wind just keeps it cool for everybody despite the warmth of the sun. This is 55, Jared Luria.
Well, Randallstown doing just what they need to do to keep this game tight. Controlling the ball whenever they have that opportunity, making the most of their shots.
This is Bennett dodging, no advantage, so he'll pass it across the field. And this is 33, Brandon Grodnitsky. Bennett now dodging his way out of trouble there. Mike Miller right on him for Catonsville, but Randallstown retains possession. We are tied at 3. Phelps comes around everybody. And now Catonsville's going to come out on the clear. Ball fired upfield by Justin Dolan. Picked up by Laborwit. Loses the ball on the dodge.
Well, we complimented Randallstown a little bit ago for the defensive help they got. And that time, compliments go to the entire defensive unit there from Catonsville as they kept picking up and making it more and more difficult for the man with the ball.
Timeout called by Link Bogart. He's got the ball, and of course he wants to set up a good play here as we're tied at 3. Stay with TV 20. We'll be right back. There are Catonsville comments in their huddle, and the last time we had a timeout called by a coach, Terry Latham called a timeout, and his team immediately scored. Let's see if Link Bogart can do the same.
Well, you're putting the pressure on Coach Bogart, yes.
Put the pressure on Link, and there are the officials. That's Bill Jenkins there walking towards you, and the other official is Bob Gukwa. And I'd rather show a picture of Bill Jenkins than Bob Gukwa anytime. So tied at 3 in the second quarter. Just a wonderful lacrosse game because we've had scoring, but we've had some good defensive play. And I'd like to mention the managers from the two teams, from Randallstown, Ann Mueller, Elvira Yusupov, and I hope I didn't mangle that too badly, Elvira. Maya Balakirsky, Chris Morangello, the managers here this afternoon from Randallstown. From Catonsville, Carolyn Hammond, Vicki Fraser, Christy Anderson, and Wendy Keenel. And they do a lot of work, as all managers do, to make these games come together. This is Luria dodging, gets it outside. And here's the most recent goal scorer, Mike Fuller. Now he gets it over to Sean Bennett. Bennett's pass, not handled, goes out of bounds. That's one of those passes that's just very hard to handle. It's just out of the reach of your stick and low.
Well, Wilson, you did manage to jinx the Randallstown Rams by expecting a goal from Coach Bogart's timeout.
So Catonsville now will attempt the clear. This near side, we've got Rob Rich waiting for a pass, but a long pass.
Well, and to a wide open Catonsville player down there too,
who's having trouble picking up the ball. Of course, Randallstown is not helping him any.
Well, and that's Loria coming away with the ball.
Gets it back to the goalie, and Top Chick gets it out to Andy Ward. And Randallstown here successfully getting a clear. A lot of pressure on Mike Fuller. He took a pounding that time from Scott Dusterhoff. It looks like Coach Bogart's done it again.
Well,
he's calling a timeout.
Try it this time again, huh?
Well, his squad didn't do what they were supposed to do the last time. We're tied at 3. Stay with TV 20. We'll be right back.
So how'd you do on that last test?
Education for living and education to make a living. The two go hand in hand. More than ever, education is essential. Training to help you get that job. Courses that will transfer to a 4-year college, or simply to enrich your own knowledge. Where can you find such an education? Where is it affordable? The answer is close to home. From the mountains of Western Maryland to the Eastern Shore at Maryland's 17 community colleges. Within Maryland's community colleges, there are traditional academic courses of study.
Now a solution begins to take shape, and we see that mathematics is an important part of everything that we do.
English composition enables you to tell what you know, what you think, what you feel, what you remember, what you have experienced.
And occupational programs, 450 of them. If you want a job, the training is here.
I'm getting great hands-on training here. They have great facilities.
The faculty is willing to help and to point you in the right direction.
I want to work for an architect. At the community college, I'm getting the training I need.
In our architectural office, we like to hire students from the community college. In drafting, for example, they've learned the kinds of things that we need them to do. And they're very well motivated. They seem to want to put into practice what they've learned in their classes.
Community colleges keep in touch with local business and industry, working to design courses that meet employers' needs. In fact, most community colleges have people on staff who are experts in job development and training. Local business and industry often specify the kinds of training they want and the level of courses that should be offered, so you can train for a job that needs to be filled.
John. Yeah, Jerry. How you doing? We finally met with that architectural firm. That's right. They're looking at a variety of courses, drafting, an entire program, and also a data processing program. It looks real good. In fact, we'll probably be able to link the two together.
If you are already working and want to move ahead, you can also benefit from this training partnership. Education to make a living, and education for living. Besides offering job training, Community colleges offer preparation for a 4-year college. Programs for the transfer student include typical liberal arts and science courses, math, physics, philosophy, music, languages, and many others which allow you to transfer to your 4-year college. Transfer programs also provide a solid foundation for fields such as medicine, business administration, law, and engineering.
I think a community college is a good place to start. I'm taking courses that are transferable to a 4-year college.
I came to a community college because it was close to home and they offered good courses in my field.
If you attend full-time, it usually takes 2 years of studying to receive an Associate of Arts degree. Then you transfer to a 4-year college or university for your bachelor's degree or beyond.
I began my engineering studies at a community college because it's affordable and close to home. Then I transferred to a university to receive my bachelor's degree.
It used to be that college students were all young, but not these days.
I'm going to a community college so I can get a degree before my children do.
Things don't close down at 5 o'clock at Maryland's community colleges. Classes are held late afternoon, early evening, and on into the night. Hundreds of non-credit courses for continuing your education as an adult. Courses designed to help you pursue lifelong interests. Maryland's community colleges, offering small classes, a wide variety of courses, flexible hours with qualified instructors, professional counseling, and affordable, quality education. Education for living and education to make a living. There are 17 community colleges across Maryland, 17 places to grow, personally and professionally.
In Baltimore County, your community colleges are Essex Community College, Dundalk Community College, Catonsville Community College. Along with a number of neighborhood centers and branches, Essex, Dundalk, and Catonsville provide Baltimore County with quality higher education opportunities that are affordable and close to home. Remember, for programs that prepare you for a good job, or programs that allow you to transfer to the 4-year college or university of your choice, and scheduling that permits you to attend part-time or full-time, day or evening. Check out your Baltimore County community colleges.
Well, now, not only did Link Bogart take a timeout, he took a halftime break because that wasn't a timeout. That
Also, we got
half.
so engrossed in the game that we didn't even realize it was halftime.
Well, it was 3-3 as we begin the second half, an outstandingly competitive game so far. And they had Bennett moved before the whistle that time. He anticipated the whistle. Bob Gukla calls the violation. Catonsville gets the ball.
Well, this game is going just the way Coach Latham had hoped it would not go. He told me before the game, he said, we should beat Randallstown, but he said, Coach Bogart is such a fine coach that he will have his team prepared, and if we do not play well, we can lose this ball game. And I won't say that they're not playing well. I just think that he hit it right on the head. Coach Bogart has his team ready to play today.
Dolan gets the ball to Connolly. And this is number 41, Andy Ward, as the clear as Bennett takes it now for Randallstown. We're tied at 3 early in the third period. Ironically, the assistant coach for Randallstown, Charles Reisenweber, was at one time the head coach at Catonsville. And this is Randallstown with the ball. They are in a 3-3 tie. And this is 33, Brandon Grodnitsky.
Well, good defensive effort out there on the part of Catonsville's Andrew Lampel.
And unfortunately for him, Mike Fuller got the ball but slipped down. Now Catonsville with it on the clear. This is number 16, Rob Rich. Outstanding basketball player for a Catonsville Comet team in boys basketball that went all the way to the finals in the States. And unfortunately, their only loss of the season was in that final game for a state championship. So it will be Randallstown attempting the clear here. Connolly, the pass gets by him.
Well, Wilson, both teams a little sloppy here starting the second half. I said that they had not played poorly, but the start of the second half here, some difficulty picking up ground balls, some errant passes.
Picked up by Randallstown, getting it back to the goalie Topchick. Since he's out of the goal, he can't go back in that crease with the ball. Far side for Randallstown, it is Brian Kornblatt. Intercepted by Catonsville. Another bad pass.
Yeah.
Picked off by the Comets. This is number 12, Tom Hebler.
Coach Latham told me every once in a while, he said, our kids really hustle. He said, you'll see that happen today, but he says, every once in a while, I have to get after them, shake them up a little bit because they get a little lackadaisical. And right now, they're playing that way, Wilson. They're just not making the crisp pass. Not a lot of movement.
Dan Clark there, number 5, with the shot for Catonsville. Bounced over the goal, so Comets retain possession. And we get
still standing around offensively. Not a lot of movement right now, Wilson. And this team is the type of team that plays a motion offense, needs to move, needs to have somebody cut through.
Fine check on the end of the stick there by Justin Dolan. Pushing called against Randallstown. The ball will go over to Catonsville on the change of possession. But that was a fine check earlier by Dolan. He just caught the end of the stick and knocked the ball loose.
Well, in basketball, we certainly call that a good foul because Catonsville was just about to get into a position for an open shot.
So now the Comets will
lose the ball.
Lose the ball as it goes to the goalie. Topchick gets it behind to Ward.
But
that pass out of bounds.
Wilson, I don't know what happened at halftime, but the two teams seem to have lost that edge that we saw in the first half.
Yeah, there have been a lot of bad passes on both sides. But another good check in there, this time by Connolly, but Catonsville still got it. This is one of their best players, Greg Miller. Dodge, a shot by Mike Miller. Another shot that hits the pipe.
Mike has 10 goals on the season, so he's a...
Greg Miller's hard shot on the ground is by the goal, but Catonsville backing up. We're tied at 3 in the third quarter.
You mentioned Greg. He's the leading scorer with 19. Mike with 10. As a matter of fact, Catonsville has Catonsville has 6 people who are in double figures this year, Wilson, so they can score from a lot of people.
Well, there was a left-handed shot by Greg Miller, and that just not stopped by the goalkeeper. Took that big high bounce that bounces up over your shoulder, and that's very tough for a goalkeeper. You don't know whether to use your stick or your shoulder or your head or what to do, and by the time you've made up your mind, the ball is in the goal. So it's 4-3 in favor of Catonsville. And that ball kicked out of bounds by Randallstown, so Catonsville will get it.
Randallstown coming with a lot of defensive pressure here. They've got 3 people chasing the ball.
Number 28, Daryl Hoekstra, sophomore on for Randallstown. That's number 38, Alec Grodnitsky. Intercepted by Catonsville. That was by Mike Altschuler. But Randallstown retains possession. The ball's still inbounds. Bodies flying all over the field.
A lot of checking going on, and we've got a flag. Bob Gukwa finding something.
It looks like it's going to be a foul against Randallstown, which will give Catonsville the extra man. And Gary, I think part of the reason for calling that foul, other than it was committed, is Coach Gukwa maybe trying to settle things down here a little bit in the third quarter.
Well, as you said, bodies were flying all over the place, and certainly you don't want anybody getting hurt out here.
Oh, good stop. Good couple of shots by Hebler. He took the rebound off of Topchick's chest. Topchick hung in there, and Randallstown now with the opportunity to clear.
Yes, and with a man down, that certainly is what they want to do.
Bennett having a tough time with a crazy bouncing ball. But good work by the defensemen there, Ward and Conley, to get that ball over the midfield.
Nice spin move by Bennett, but then he lost the ball. And
now we're all even.
Wilson, this is almost like we're seeing two games here, two different teams with different skill levels. Now, granted, a lot of these balls on the ground are good checks. 2-on-1 break, 3-on. Oh my, what a beautiful offensive play. Run to perfection, filling the lanes, coming down the ball in the middle. An opportunity to go to either side, but it didn't have to.
Mike Miller was right there all by himself. He got the feed, he made the goal, his first goal of the afternoon. It is a 5-3 lead now, the biggest lead of the game for either team. Catonsville, 2 goals here in the third quarter, no goals yet by Randallstown. Again, Catonsville very much in the running for a state championship, regional championship.
If they win this game today, and if North County of Anne Arundel County loses, Catonsville will be that Region 2A champ. Right now, they're the defending 2A champ from last year. When I say 2A, 3A Region 2 champ.
Ball out of bounds will go to Randallstown. We're in the third quarter. It is now a 2-goal Catonsville lead, 5-3. Randallstown trying to cut that margin down.
Well, the double team means somebody's open, but he did not get that pass off quickly enough.
John Highland here bringing it down for Catonsville. Ball taken away by Dolan.
He's got to get rid of the ball. And you have 2 and 3 people around you. Somebody has to be open.
Randallstown, bad pass, run down and picked up by Ryan Phelps. Gets it over to Brandon Grodnitsky. There's the man on the crease, but the goalie Griffin came out and took him down.
Oh, boy, did
Brian Kornblatt.
Bill Griffin really made a hit on Kornblatt.
So the goalie saw nobody there to help him, so he said, okay, I'll take him out myself. And Griffin knocked away the pass.
Well, with that little exchange, we can see why Coach Latham is so high on Bill Griffin.
Highland shot knocked above the goal by Topchick. And we get substitutions. And it's been Catonsville peppering the goal here recently, as the Comets have jumped to a 2-goal lead in the third quarter. Ball picked up by Conley. Conley's got that big stick, and he gets a good pass over to Mike Fuller.
Oh, he did a nice job, Wilson, there. He He managed to stay out of the double team, but he knew the Comets were attempting to double team him, and you could just see his head looking up all the time, trying to find where that open person is.
Now that was a case of trying to cradle it and maybe shoot it and not catching the ball first. But Randallstown retains possession. This is 55, Jared Luria.
Well, Randallstown doing a lot of standing around right now and allowing Luria just to do it all on his own.
This is Phelps behind the goal for the Rams.
Wilson, you and I were talking about NBA basketball at lunch today, and it's a little reminiscent of what's happening right now. It's just, I'll take the ball and see what I can do with it.
Well, this is a bad place for Topchick and a score. Number 5 there, Dan Clark, gets his first goal. Third goal of the quarter for Catonsville.
What has to be going through Topchick's mind when he sees no one but a white-clad Comet heading right at him?
So that makes it 6-3. Catonsville with all 3 goals here in the third quarter. They have broken open somewhat what was a very tight game.
Topchick plans to go to the University of Pennsylvania, and I suspect right at that moment he wished he were already there.
Nothing more lonely in sports than to be a goalkeeper with nobody except the other guys in front of you. And Catonsville right away on the attack again. The Comets really want to assert their authority here.
Well, clearly the Rams still very much into this game, but the Comets beginning to show some superiority here in the third quarter with scoring.
Daryl Hoekstra trying to get it out for Randallstown, but he's surrounded. The ball taken away, and now it's in the possession of Tom Hebler, who has a goal already for Catonsville. And again, knocked away just in time by Ward. But the ball will stay with Catonsville. And the time is on the field in the third quarter, so we're under a minute. Ward on Hebler, and number 6 for Catonsville is Dan Dixon. Shot knocked away by Topchick. He didn't stop it, but he got it, he knocked it away, but it's still a Catonsville ball. And we'll get a call. Pushing on Randallstown, so Catonsville will get the possession as we get substitutions, constantly changing midfields here for lacrosse teams. Leading 6-3, third quarter almost over, and with the ball, Catonsville. Hebler, nice pass, but not handled by Clark.
Well, the movement was certainly right on target. It was just the execution that
hard shot by
short.
Greg Miller, who has 2 goals already. It goes just by the side of the goal. But Catonsville backing up retains possession, leading 6-3. Again, next week on TV 20, it's the NJCAA Final Four. And that's no goal because it wasn't even in the goal anyhow. It hit the side of the goal, but that's the end of the third quarter with Catonsville leading 6-3 over the Randallstown Rams. Stay with TV 20. We'll be right back.
Health. There's nothing to replace it. No substitute for it. Here's to Your Health is a college credit television course which examines today's health issues, such as AIDS, back problems, prescription medicines, hypertension, and alcohol and drug addiction. The series uses lively animation, thought-provoking dramatizations, on-location visits to hospitals, clinics, and leading research centers throughout the country. Series host Dr. Norman Kaplan, a professor of internal medicine, talks with many of the nation's foremost medical experts. Together, they discuss how health involves all aspects of physical, emotional, and social wellness. Here's to Your Health explains what can jeopardize good health and shows how to develop a healthy lifestyle. Add life to your years, not just years to your life, with Here's to Your Health.
One more quarter to go here at Catonsville High School as we see Catonsville and Randallstown. Now the Comets with a comfortable, at least somewhat comfortable, 3-goal lead. As the wind has died down, the sun continues to shine brightly. A beautiful warm day. After we do the NJCAAs next week, the following week on CTV20, we'll have a state championship game. The teams as yet undecided, or we don't know who will be playing for those state championships yet. And then the following week we will conclude our year's telecasting, as we've done for several years now, with the Lacrosse for Leukemia games to be played at Johns Hopkins. Friday night, May 24th, we invite everyone to come out and watch the games. The money goes to the Leukemia Society of Maryland. And then watch both games, girls and boys, again on CTV20. As Catonsville comes up with the face-off.
Wilson, I cannot recall Catonsville losing a face-off today.
So it is Randallstown attempting to clear and picked up on the far side, or knocked Dolan over there. He's down. Catonsville with the ball. That pass knocked behind the goal, out of bounds by Catonsville. Ball will go to Randallstown.
There's a case where there may have been one pass too many for Catonsville. Every once in a while, an unselfish team, and certainly Catonsville is that. They have, as I mentioned earlier, 6 scorers in double figures, so they're certainly willing to pass the ball off, and every once in a while, maybe that one pass too many will get you in trouble.
Goalie was in the crease, and he was hit. Now he went back in the crease. So they're going to give the ball to Catonsville because Topchik came out and went back. Bob Kukwa spotted it. Give the ball to Catonsville.
I don't think Topchik, even after the call, realized what had happened. He was reaching for the ball to make the catch and just didn't even realize. Oh, nice give and go there by Catonsville.
Mike Miller there behind the goal, shot. Stopped by Topchik. He will fire it out to Luria.
Or loft it out, as
or loft it out. That's a liberal definition of the word.
Looked like he would
the word fire.
Looked like he was going to fire that one out, but as it turned out, it just lofted over the head of the defender.
Yeah, we got some scouts here and scouting possible opponents or perhaps future players. We've got people from Broadneck, North County, Severna Park, and Western Maryland College. Of course, North County, Severna Park play tonight, and one of those teams will be a future Catonsville opponent in the state playoffs.
Well, Comet fans rooting, of course, for Severna Park, because if Severna Park can knock off North County, and if, oh, how could that happen?
Oh.
What a...
Well,
well, number 5 there, Dan Clark, has to believe.
I think it was Altschuler that got the goal.
Clark has to believe that it just was not his time. He had 3 shots there right on goal, and it just would not go in for him, but his teammate Altschuler made up for it.
But let's also give credit to Topchik. Topchik stopped 2 of those 3 point-blank shots himself. One hit the pipe, 2 of them he stopped, but the 4th one, he was on the ground. There was nothing he could do, and a lot of credit to the goalkeeper. He hung in there as longer than is humanly possible.
Oh, yes. Well, I think all 3 players involved have to have a lot of credit, because Clark kept coming right back at Topchik. Topchik said, no, I'm not going to let you have it. And Altschuler, instead of just standing there watching, got involved and got the goal.
Well, it is now a 7-3 Catonsville lead. So Randallstown getting farther and farther out of this game, and Link Bogart wants a timeout, wants to talk to his troops because they were tied at 3 at halftime. 4 goals in this half by Catonsville. So it's 7-3 in favor of the Comets. Stay with TV 20. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Linda Emmerich, Director of Admissions at Catonsville Community College. The difficult decision that high school students face is selecting the right college. Consider this. Catonsville Community College can provide the first 2 years of your bachelor's degree. We combine features of the 4-year school experience, student life, athletics, a variety of programs of study, with the qualities that make a community college unique: affordable tuition, dedicated faculty, and small class size. Make Catonsville Community College your first college choice. We transfer success.
Here, time left here in the 4th quarter, but it is now a 7-3 lead for Catonsville. And Gary, how important in sports that 3rd quarter so often is.
Well, both teams, as we said, came out and did not play well. Their errant passes, just sloppy throwing, not picking up ground balls, a lot of body checking, but not real good play. However, after a while, Catonsville was the first team to settle down, and they got that big lead. Actually scored about as many goals, I guess the 3 goals in the 3rd quarter, as many as they had scored the entire first half. And but in spite of this, Coach Bogart has to be very pleased with the effort that his team has made. He came into this game certainly a decided underdog, and his seniors have really helped to fire his squad up in this last game.
Well, that pass almost went into the goal, and goalie Griffin jumped up and then looked around like, what are you guys trying to do? Goalie took his foot out, stepped back in again. Bill Jenkins caught it, calls it against Catonsville this time. But I think Bill Griffin's still wondering, boy, my teammates are even throwing them at me over here.
Well, I guess the Comets, after peppering Topcheck, decided to test their own goalie.
It is a 7-3 Randallstown lead. We're in the 4th quarter of what was a tie score at the end of the half, but in the 2nd half, 4 unanswered goals by Catonsville.
Well, and keep in mind that the average goals against Catonsville this year, only 4. And right now, Catonsville's hanging right in there with that average. As a matter of fact, they're only giving up 3. They've only given up 3, and working very hard to keep it at that.
Laborwit taken down that time. Now one of those classic ground ball struggles.
The scrum. That's what it looks like over there, Wilson. Put the rugby ball out there and we go with it.
Well, a lot of players over the years learned the lesson, and one of the best things you can do with one of those is stay out of it. But it's Catonsville quickly on the attack. And again stopped by Topchick, that time with his mask.
That's what it looked like to me too, Wilson. That's putting your head in the right place.
Well, Brad Topchick certainly does not lack for quick reflexes and intestinal fortitude.
Well, when you're a linebacker on a Coach Buckheister team, you'd better be that way. And Coach Bogart has him playing tough in the goal. And Coach Buckheister had him playing tough at linebacker.
This would be a rout by now if it weren't for Topchick. He has just really been tough in the goal. There's another save.
Beautiful save again. Oh, look at this. You can really see the speed of Catonsville paying off there as number 23. Mike Altschuler just was able to run away from his defender.
Except some other players went offside, so Randallstown trailing 7-3 will get the ball, and it will be, excuse me, Daryl Hoxcroft who will take it for the Rams. Daryl is only a sophomore at Randallstown High School. So he'll be back for Coach Bogart. Coach Bogart very involved every year in the state championships.
Well, speaking of championships, come out to Catonsville next week. Friday, Saturday, the 10th and the 11th. National championships. Students, only $2 each day.
And there are some outstanding junior community college athletes in those championships, and many of them, of course, at Essex Community College, which just has an outstanding team under Coach Tim Pauls. So come out and see some of those players. They are just terrific. And
well, in Wilson, CTV 20 has covered a number of those players coming through high school.
That's right, and we will have all 4 games, but particularly get out for the championship game, if for no other game, on the 11th. And I believe this is the first, is this the first time the Final Four has ever been in this area?
Oh no, Wilson. As a matter of fact, they rotate that so that it was just several years ago that Essex had an opportunity to host it. About three or 4 years ago, Essex hosted it.
It just seems as if it's always in New York.
Yes.
And the New York teams have dominated this, and this is really the Maryland area's best chance in many years.
Well, Essex comes into the tournament seeded #1, so
and undefeated.
The seeding committee thinks that Essex should win it.
This is Connolly in the middle for Randallstown. We just saw another episode of that bad passing as the ball's been on the ground more than in people's sticks. Now Catonsville trying to settle it down, and there we go. And a bad pass.
Well, Wilson, I'm not sure why he just didn't take it right to the goal. He had nobody in front of him except the goalie. Of course, Topcheck has been so formidable that I suppose the idea was if I can make Topcheck come my way and then get the pass off.
That time Topcheck got leveled by his own teammates. He came out of the goal and 2 of his teammates ran him over. We see a lot of heavy hitting here this afternoon. But it is finally picked up by Catonsville's Dan Dixon. Back to Dixon, shot, knocked away, or never really got to the goal, hit somebody's foot. Randallstown trailing here, 7-3. Highland's stick just hit enough that his shot sailed away. Now Randallstown trying to clear. They haven't done much on offense at all in this half. They haven't scored. If it weren't for this man, number 99, Brad Topcheck, it would be even worse.
Well, down 4 goals, they've got to just get the ball across midfield and start firing away here.
This is Bennett.
Not that much time left in the game.
Number 20, Ian Remmert, just doing an outstanding job on defense. He's really giving Bennett a hard time. Bennett, one of their outstanding players, and he is scoreless here this afternoon. This is Luria. Goals for Randallstown by Laborwit, Brandon Grodnitsky, and Mike Fuller for their 3. And for Catonsville, Mike Miller, Dan Clark, Tom Hebler with 1 each. Greg Miller and Mike Altschuler with 2 each. This is Bennett. Bennett looks like he might get by that first man sometimes, but there's always somebody there to help out. So those dodges from the midfield are not working very well. This is Laborwit coming around. You have to take it behind. And Gary, there was a classic example. His teammate stood and watched him.
That's exactly right, Wilson. He made a beautiful play. Looked like he might break open toward the goal, but when the defenders bunched in, he had no place to go and nobody really breaking toward the goal to whom to pass.
Phelps, and he's going to take a timeout called by Coach Bogart as Randallstown still trails 7-3 here in the 4th quarter, and Coach Bogart wants to try to set up something on offense. So stay with TV 20. We'll be right back. there we see the two teams going back to their benches, getting ready for the rest of the fourth quarter. And Randallstown having the ball and trailing by the score of 7-3. So the Rams trying to do something here, as that's Bennett behind the goal. Intercepted that pass, and the player receiving the pass, Gary,
made no move at all. Now that pass though was really too long with a defender between himself and his teammate, but nevertheless the teammate didn't help him at all.
Our commentator Melba Williams made the point on a girls' game last week or a couple weeks ago that the passer and the receiver must both move, not just stand still.
Sure.
And that's exactly what happened. Plus, as you say, it was quite a long pass, and the Catonsville had an easy interception. They now have the ball and a big lead, and another stop by Topchick. Interference in the crease with the goalkeeper, and Randallstown will get the clear. Down there is number 24, Brad Axel, for Randallstown. So Axel
really contesting the clear.
Gets it ahead to number 37, Rich McKnight.
And he's being triple teamed.
Catonsville really strong in the midfield. And there's just a pass, just not close enough. Shot over the goal by Mike Miller on the feed from Dan Clark.
Well, that was some of the best passing we've seen, though, Wilson, even though it didn't result. Go ahead, Wilson.
Well, there's a clock on the field, so that's less than a minute. Catonsville is going to be 9-1.
And Mr. Topchick is coming out of the ball game. What a way to finish a career. Even though his team lost, he had a fantastic game.
Elliot Berman, number 77, now in the goal for Randallstown. But you're right. What a fine effort by Topchick, and every lacrosse fan, no matter which team he is rooting for, has to appreciate that kind of effort. Remarkable position is goal in lacrosse. We've talked about it many times. Very, very tough position.
Well, we want to wish the Comets well as they enter the state playoffs. Perhaps they will enter as the region champs, but either way, they are going to go into the playoffs for the third consecutive year.
Well, Greg Miller and Mike Altschuler are going to be the high scorers here today with 2 goals each. Randallstown will drop to 3-5, and Catonsville will be 9-1. Just a great season for Terry Latham and his team. There's a shot goes by the goal. Catonsville will retain possession. That's where you need that ball boy, because that ball's probably down on Rolling Road by now, as the ball boy behind the goal disappears over the top of the hill. That is it. The game is over. No goals by Randallstown in the second half. A fine performance in the second half by Catonsville, and not by an overwhelming score, but they win convincingly here this afternoon.
Well, and they clearly dominated the second half, shutting out, as you pointed out, shutting out Randallstown in the second half, having a little bit of trouble at times with holding on to the ball, but there were some flurries there that Catonsville had that showed very crisp passing, filling lanes beautifully, and this is a team that Coach Latham has every right to be proud.
So, for Gary Keaty, this is Wilson Watson saying it's been our pleasure to bring this game to you this afternoon. Again, the final score, the Catonsville Comets 7, the Randallstown Rams 3. So long, everybody.